It was a bright Monday morning in Lagos. The sun bounced off the glass. Walls of J-Tech Holdings, one of the largest tech investment companies in Nigeria. Staff moved briskly in and out of the headquarters, their badges flashing with every security checkpoint. Inside the lobby, a young woman stepped in, clutching a small handbag. Her name was Mirabelle Johnson, the only daughter of Chief Gabriel Johnson, the billionaire CEO of the company. But today, no one knew that. Mirabelle wore a simple office blouse and a knee-length skirt. Her usually luxurious straight hair was tied in a modest bun, and her designer accessories were nowhere to be seen. She was here under a fake name, Myra Jones, ready to start her career from the bottom, far away from the shadows of her father's wealth. Her father had agreed to this on one condition, that she would live modestly and be accompanied by Amaka, a 19-year-old girl with a quiet but strange presence, who had grown up in a village monastery. Her father called her a seer. Mirabelle didn't understand what that meant, but she agreed. It seemed like a small price to pay for independence. At the reception, a young man walked up to her, tall, well-built, with smooth brown skin and a navy blue shirt that hugged his chest. His smile was charming, and his voice deep and warm. "Hi there. First day?" he asked, noticing the confusion in her eyes. Mirabelle smiled faintly. "Yes, I'm Myra Jones." He extended his hand. "I'm Daniel. I work in software development. I can help you find HR." As they walked together toward the elevators, their eyes met briefly. Something flickered between them. Curiosity? Attraction? Something more. At the far end of the lobby, Amaka stood by the wall, watching silently. Her wide brown eyes didn't blink. She wasn't watching Daniel. She was watching something else, something no one else could see. Mirabelle settled quickly into the company routine. She made friends, joined meetings, and handled tasks with confidence. No one knew she was the daughter of the company's owner. And that was exactly how she wanted it. Daniel became her closest colleague. He was funny, respectful, and always seemed to be there when she needed help. They began eating lunch together and walking to the BRT terminal after work. The connection grew fast. Back at her modest two-bedroom flat in Yaba, Amaka quietly did the house chores and cooked simple meals. She barely spoke unless spoken to. Mirabelle found her a little strange. She often stared into space or whispered to herself when no one was around. One night, after dinner, Amaka stood silently by Mirabelle's door. Her eyes looked distant, as though she wasn't fully present. "Madam," she said in a low voice, "you have entered a road that looks sweet, but inside is fire. Do not rush. Ask questions. Watch who stands behind you." Mirabelle blinked. "What are you talking about?" Amaka didn't explain. She just turned and walked away slowly. Mirabelle scoffed. "She watches too many African magic movies," she muttered to herself. But that night, Mirabelle couldn't sleep. Her mind kept returning to Amaka's warning. The next day at work, Daniel brought her a small box of pastries and a note. "Just because you make this office brighter." She smiled. Her heart melted a little more. But far behind her in the open-plan office, a man in a cream-colored shirt, Victor, Daniel's cousin, who worked in HR, watched them with quiet amusement. Later that evening, Mirabelle came home to find Amaka praying out loud. Candles were lit, and palm oil had been drawn in a symbol across the floor. Startled, Mirabelle shouted, "What is all this?" Amaka opened her eyes. "Something is hiding in your joy. I saw a mask, a man with two faces." "Be careful, madam." Mirabelle was angry. "Stop this nonsense. This is Lagos, not your village." But Amaka didn't flinch. 2 months passed. Mirabel had fallen deeply for Daniel. He was kind, attentive, and supportive of her dreams. They worked together during the day and talked for hours after work. Daniel told her he had no family left, just a few cousins. Like Victor, who had helped him when he had nothing. He said Victor was like a brother. Mirabel didn't question it. She believed him. Their first kiss happened on a rainy Friday evening after work. They had stayed back to finish a proposal. And as the storm poured outside, Daniel touched her cheek and whispered, "I don't want to be just your colleague." She didn't respond with words. They kissed. Within weeks, Daniel proposed in a simple private dinner. A small ring. No crowd, just them. She said yes. When Mirabel told her father, Chief Gabriel Johnson, he was furious. "You want to marry a man I haven't even met? Daddy, please. I love him. I didn't fall in love with his money. I fell in love with his heart." Her father sighed. "Fine, you're an adult. But you must do one thing. Let Amaka move in with you. If your heart is truly clean, her presence won't disturb you." Mirabel rolled her eyes. "I already live with her." The wedding was small, but beautiful. Daniel wore a sleek black agbada, and Mirabel glowed in a lace wedding dress. Victor stood close to the groom all through the event, smiling knowingly, whispering into his ear often. Amaka didn't attend. She stood far behind the crowd, watching the couple from a distance. As the priest pronounced them husband and wife, Amaka's lips moved silently. She has entered the fire. Married life seemed perfect at first. Mirabel and Daniel moved into a beautiful duplex on the island, fully paid for by her father as a wedding gift. The furniture was sleek, the compound was paved, and the kitchen was stocked with everything from imported wines to sparkling new appliances. Daniel was the ideal husband. He cooked for her sometimes, sent her sweet messages at work, and kissed her on the forehead every morning before she left. But after a few weeks, Mirabel noticed something strange. Daniel never initiated intimacy. At first, she told herself it was normal, maybe stress, maybe work. But even after weeks passed, nothing changed. He always had excuses. "Baby, I'm tired." Or, "I'm fasting for health." Or, "My head is aching." They hadn't made love even once since the wedding night. And that night, she now realized, had been rushed and awkward. Whenever she brought it up, he smiled and said, "You're all I need, my love. You complete me." She wanted to believe him. But late at night, she would hear whispers Daniel speaking softly on the phone in the study. Sometimes when she walked in, he would switch off the screen or quickly change the call. Victor still visited often. Too often. He would sleep over sometimes. The guest room, they said. But twice, Mirabel had walked in too quickly and seen Daniel and Victor sitting far too close on the couch, laughing in a strange, private way. When she asked about it, Daniel got defensive. "He's like my brother. Don't insult him with your jealousy." The tension grew quietly. One afternoon, Amaka approached Mirabel in the kitchen. She had been silent for weeks. "Have you wondered why your womb is quiet?" Amaka asked without emotion. Mirabel frowned. "What do you mean? You've been married 3 months. No child. Not even one delay in your monthly flow. Have you asked God why?" Mirabel scoffed. "It's not your business, Amaka." Amaka stepped closer. "It's not your body that's empty. It's your spirit that is being silenced." Days passed, but Mirabel couldn't shake off Amaka's words. Something about them echoed in her soul. That evening, while cleaning the room, she accidentally knocked over Daniel's bedside drawer. A small white bottle rolled out. She picked it up. The label read, Chef Rogra M, Migraine Management. But something felt off. Mirabel had never seen Daniel have a migraine, He barely complained of headaches. She slid the bottle into her robe pocket and took it to the pharmacy the next morning. The pharmacist examined it and frowned. "This is not for migraines," she said. "This is a brand of long-term hormonal contraceptives. Very strong. Prescribed to women who want to avoid pregnancy for a long time." Mirabelle felt the floor vanish beneath her feet. She whispered, "But I never took this." The pharmacist looked confused. "Then someone is giving it to you." Mirabelle left in a daze. Back at the house, she entered Daniel's study while he was at work. Her fingers trembled as she checked the drawers. Then she saw it. A file labeled Inheritance Transition MJ Holdings. She opened it and saw her own name typed across a legal-looking document. Her signature was there copied from a different document. It was a forgery. It was a transfer of power, giving Daniel full control over shares and voting rights in her father's company in the event of her extended medical incapacity. Mirabelle couldn't breathe. Her entire life, the love, the marriage, it was all a setup. And suddenly, it all made sense. Victor's closeness, Daniel's coldness, the pills, the secrecy, the gentle, calculated manipulation. She collapsed on the bed, shaking. A sound behind her made her jump. Amaka stood at the doorway. "I warned you, but you were wearing a crown made of lies." Mirabelle turned, eyes filled with tears. "What should I do?" Amaka walked slowly into the room. "Do not sign any paper. Do not eat what he gives you. And whatever you do, don't go on the birthday trip." Mirabelle's eyes widened. "How do you know about the birthday trip?" Amaka's face didn't change. "Because they're planning to end everything that night." Mirabelle didn't sleep that night. She lay awake beside Daniel, his arm draped over her like a man in love. But she now knew this warmth was calculated. A cover, a trap. She replayed Amaka's words over and over in her mind. That morning, as Daniel dressed for work, he kissed her forehead. "Pack light," he said, smiling. "I booked a weekend getaway for your birthday. Private resort, top floor suite, just us." Mirabelle forced a smile. "Wow, thank you, baby. I love you." But inside, her heart had gone cold. As soon as he left, Mirabelle called her father's trusted lawyer and sent him a photo of the forged document. The man was horrified. "This is criminal," he said. "Do not confront him yet. We'll get everything in place." She nodded. "I need proof." "All of it?" She then called the hotel Daniel mentioned. She pretended to be his personal assistant. "Just confirming the reservation, Daniel Johnson and Victor Johnson, right?" The receptionist responded without hesitation. "Yes, ma'am." 2 guests, King Executive Suite. Her blood turned to ice. Later that day, she followed Daniel in a hired ride. Amaka came with her, silent, praying under her breath. They watched him drive to the luxury hotel on the island. They waited. Then 2 hours later, Mirabelle disguised herself in a scarf and dark glasses and entered through the back lobby. She had gotten the room number. Room 709 point. She reached the door. Her hand trembled. She heard laughter inside. Then moaning. She pushed open the door gently. Inside, the suite was dimly lit. Victor stood shirtless by the bed, a towel around his waist, his back to the door. Daniel stood close to him, also half naked, caressing his chest gently. They were laughing. "She'll sign it after this birthday. Then we vanish," Victor said. Mirabelle's heart shattered. They hadn't seen her yet. She dropped her handbag. The sound echoed like thunder. Both men froze and turned. The look on Daniel's face was not guilt. It was panic. Daniel stumbled backward, grabbing his shirt. "Mirabelle, this is not what it looks like." Victor reached for the door, but she raised a hand. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Touch that door, and you'll wish you hadn't. Her face was unreadable, but her eyes burned. Not with tears, with clarity. She stepped fully into the room and closed the door gently behind her. Then she looked at Daniel and smiled faintly. Now I understand why you never touched me. Victor laughed bitterly. You think you're better than us? You think you can trap him with your father's money? Get over yourself. Mirabel turned slowly to him. Victor, right? You forged a document, plotted with your lover, drugged me with contraceptives, and tried to steal my father's company. But yes, I'm the problem. Daniel moved closer. Myra, wait. Don't call me Myra, she snapped. For a moment, no one moved. Then she whispered, You think I came here to cry? No, I came to see the truth for myself. Now I've seen it. She bent down, picked up her handbag, and walked to the door. Before stepping out, she said softly, Enjoy tonight. It's your last one in freedom. She left. Back at home, her father was waiting in the living room. As soon as she walked in, he stood. One look at her face told him everything. She nodded once. It's true. Without another word, Chief Gabriel Johnson picked up his phone. By 6 a.m. the next morning, police and company lawyers stormed the hotel room. Daniel was dragged out half-dressed, handcuffed, shouting her name. Victor tried to escape through the back staircase, but was caught in the parking lot. Mirabel watched the news that evening from the sofa, sipping tea as the headlines rolled in. J-Tech Holdings CEO's son-in-law arrested for forgery. Attempted corporate theft. She felt no joy, no anger, just silence. Beside her, Amaka folded her arms quietly. Justice walks slowly, she said, but it never forgets the road. The next morning, a scandal broke across every major blog, business news outlet, and gossip site. Billionaire's daughter. Files for divorce after husband's gay affair, and inheritance scam exposed. Secret lover revealed. Cousin turned co-conspirator. Sources confirm. Bride was drugged to prevent pregnancy. Daniel's face was everywhere, but not as a rising tech star, no. As a fraud. A deceiver. A disgraced husband. Victor's past was also dug up, fired from 2 jobs. Linked to online scams, once arrested in Port Harcourt for identity theft. Mirabel remained silent. She didn't grant interviews. She didn't post statements. She simply went to court, accompanied by her lawyer, and handed Daniel his divorce papers in the presence of police officers. Daniel was in a cheap suit now. No designer shoes. No luxury watch. No confidence. He looked up at her from the bench, eyes swollen. Mirabel, I loved you. I really did. She stared at him. You loved what I had. You loved the door I could open. But not me. He shook his head. Victor said. He said we could. Don't blame him, she interrupted sharply. You chose this. You chose to lie. To cheat. To poison my body. You knew what you were doing. Her voice was steady. Her spine straight. Her presence in that courtroom was power itself. She signed the final page. The officer stamped it. It was done. She walked out of the court, straight into a crowd of paparazzi. Microphones flew at her face. Mrs. Johnson, any comment? How do you feel? Are you pressing charges for the drugs? She said only 5 words. Let the courts decide everything. Then she entered the car and left. Back home, she sat on the veranda. The wind was gentle. The air was clean. Amaka walked out with a tray of bitter leaf soup and rice. I didn't know if you'd want to eat, she said softly. Mirabel smiled faintly. Today, I'm hungry. The next few days passed like a blur. The house was quiet again. Daniel was gone. Victor was awaiting trial. The scandal faded from headlines, replaced by newer drama. But for Mirabelle, the echoes of betrayal still lingered in the corners of her heart. She didn't cry. Not once. Instead, she began healing. She returned to work at JTech under her real name. No more pretending. Her staff now called her Madame M, with respect in their voices, not fear. She was fair, focused, and firm. One morning, she walked into the kitchen and noticed Amaka was not around. No prayers. No soft humming. No scent of burning incense. She called her name once, twice. No answer. Her heart began to race. She searched the rooms. Nothing. But then, on the center table, lay a note wrapped in white cloth. Mirabelle opened it slowly. Your enemy was not your husband. It was your silence. Your pain has given you sight. Now you see what others hide. I must go. My season in your house has ended. Beneath the note was Amaka's silver bangle. Mirabelle sank into the sofa. Her father arrived 10 minutes later, having been called in worry. She left? He asked gently. Mirabelle nodded, tears finally slipping down her cheeks. She didn't even say goodbye. Chief Gabriel Johnson looked out the window with a knowing expression. She never stays, he said softly. She only comes when darkness falls and leaves when the sun rises again. Mirabelle blinked. Who is she, really? Her father gave her a long look, then replied, She goes by many names. But in our village, we called her Noa Miri, Child of the Waters. The spirits send her when a woman's life is about to drown. Mirabelle covered her mouth in shock. A soft breeze passed through the open window. The curtains danced, and in the distance, a butterfly fluttered past. 3 months later, Mirabelle stood in the boardroom of JTech Holdings, facing a full table of executives, mostly men. Older, experienced, some doubtful. She wore a fitted navy blue pantsuit. Her hair was in a clean, high bun. Her face bare of makeup, her voice calm and confident. And that, gentlemen, is the Q3 turnaround strategy. We lost public trust during the scandal, but now we're climbing again. Faster than any competitor. Why? Because I stopped hiding. The room was silent. Then one by one, they nodded and applauded. Outside, journalists waited. But this time, not with accusations. Madam, one question, please. How does it feel to lead your father's empire now? She smiled slightly. Feels like I finally came home. She stepped into her black SUV, driven by her new female bodyguard. At home that evening, she entered her bedroom and placed a small framed photo by her bedside. One she had printed from the security footage. The day Amaka left. In it, Amaka walked away from the house, her figure fading into the sun. No one else had noticed the camera caught it. Mirabelle whispered, "Thank you." Outside, a soft wind blew through the garden. And from the corner of the room, a single butterfly fluttered toward the window and vanished into the sky. The screen fades to black.